Hello, and welcome to the 2024 edition of the Sage 100 Tips and Tricks presentation. The goal of this presentation is twofold. One, to help you as a user streamline your experience and to smooth that experience by removing excessive entry tasks and extra clicks. And secondly, to help you in troubleshooting common problems encountered in the software. Many helpful links and informational documents can be found on the Help tab of the desktop ribbon. As is the case in general for Sage 100 use, an active internet connection is required to access most of the help resources, as they now primarily dwell online. From the Sage 100 help menu, again, also online, you can access a large amount of information about the software, including FAQs, troubleshooting tips, and module help. Some new features in version 2024 include stability and functionality improvements to the inventory requirements planning and production management modules, and more flexible access to the delete and change utilities. Previously, you could only access these utilities if all data entry files were cleared. Now you can at least access them to preload your delete or change uh, selections for items or customers, even if you can't update them until all data entry tasks are cleared. The Sage 100 Information Center, which is accessed from the Help ribbon, now consolidates several links, including product update patches, product documents, online webinars, and information on integrated software products. The Product Documents button launches a tab in the desktop browser window that contains documents with release notes, new features, documentation, and checklists for supported versions of Sage 100 and integrated software, such as Payroll and also Sage 100's CRM. The Resource Center includes links to the Sage Knowledge Base, Sage City, and Sage.com. The Sage Knowledge Base is an online collection of answers and troubleshooting tips for Sage 100 errors and also process instructions for tasks within Sage. Some knowledge base solutions may require assistance from a technician, but some may be simple to implement, and a lot of them are just informational and can be helpful on their own. Sage City is a user forum where Sage users and technicians can post questions and answers to their Sage 100 challenges. Sage City requires a login setup before you can post and comment on threads, but it can be viewed without signing in, and login doesn't have any associated cost. The resources window in the browser pane of the desktop contains many overviews of common Sage tasks. This window also contains a link to the file layouts and program information tables. This is probably the most useful link on this page, as it shows the table information, what fields are contained in each data table, as well as what data they can contain, which can be useful when designing custom reports. And so, for instance, some fields have predetermined numeric values, like item type, for instance, has a numeric value, and this uh, table layout window will tell you what each number means. One means standard item, etc. The VBCC website is also home to a variety of resources, including blog posts, web demos, and informational documents. You can obtain support from one of our consultants by following the support link. You probably already know this if you're watching this webinar. An issue that can commonly plague especially customized systems pertains to task resizing and customization. Sage tasks can be resized several ways, either for specific users or for everyone accessing a given task window. Many entry tasks have both a standard and an alternate wide display mode, as pictured here. Um, Standard task windows can be resized by clicking and dragging their corners, but this is typically not a good idea if a panel has been customized and resized with extra fields. Customized panels in Custom Office should always be resized and edited in Custom Office. Click dragging these panels will often cause fields to change in position or become cut off, sometimes in a way that's severe enough that it'll cause an error 65 to trigger. Later, we'll discuss restoring missing fields or lost customizations in the presentation. It's also worth noting that the fields being cut off issue is more common with panels that have been migrated from previous versions, so it's good to be aware of that. Memo Manager Maintenance is a useful tool for adding memos to various Sage tasks. These memos can be accessed and created directly from the task sales order, for instance. You can store memos by order. You can have memos that pop up specifically that are assigned to all sales orders for a specific customer. There's a lot of different entry tasks where you can store memos. In addition to assigning memos to a single record, reminder memos can also be copied to several records at once using the copy feature pictured here. Ranges for the memos to be active as well as expiration dates can also be assigned. So you can create a memo and have it not go into effect until a later date. And you can also set an expiration date for it if you want a reminder just for a specific span of time. In the case of a memo accidentally being copied to wrong records or to all the records for any given tasks, there's a utility within Memo Manager Maintenance to purge these memo copies. This is accessed through Memo Manager Maintenance in Common Information under the main grouping. You can also control the auto display functions and the access settings for specific memos to have them display only for certain roles if it's a notification that you only want specific users within your system to see. Another useful utility added in the 2024 versions of Sage, journal reversals. At times you might need to reverse a journal ledger transaction journal or a journal posted from a subsidiary ledger, a cash receipts journal, for instance. By looking up a transaction and account maintenance, you can drill down to the journal detail. You don't have to do the reversal, but it can help to know what transactions are included in the journal you're reversing. And just by clicking the blue arrow button pictured and underlined, you will create a general journal entry that reverses all the transactions in the given journal. That entry can then be opened in general journal entry if you need to change the date, if you want to add a comment, if you want to make any changes to it. It will default to the current accounting date when you create it, though. This is very useful for reversing duplicate transactions, especially if there's a lot of lines and you don't want to manually enter them. It's also really helpful if a journal gets posted to the wrong date. You can reverse it at that date and then reverse the reversal and then change the posting date to the date you wanted it to be. Very helpful. An important maintenance task for making changes to items on a wide scale from product line maintenance. You can make changes to the product line's default information, and then you can apply those changes to items within the product line. As you see here, things like the valuation, procurement, any of a number of options, and also the accounts that the product line posts to by default. Now, if you make changes in product line maintenance, those changes will not automatically be applied to your items. They'll only be applied to items that are created going forward unless you use the apply button pictured in the upper right of the image on this slide. From that window, you can apply individual field settings and can apply them either product line wide, specific item code ranges, or to a single item code. You can also apply multiple changes at once to one item code or, to many item codes, whatever arrangement you need to do to accomplish what you're trying to. Now let's talk about troubleshooting common Sage 100 desktop issues. A frequent problem that I've encountered in various user sessions, a user might experience an issue where they double click their Sage 100 shortcut. It appears to launch. It asks for their login. They're able to log in, but then the screen doesn't show up at all. It shows the icon on the bottom on the taskbar, but it doesn't open the desktop. it can be difficult to figure out why it's doing that, and also clicking on the icon again in this case won't cause it to pop up and maximize. It's because it's been force minimized either from a previous session or due to frequently I find this is an issue with the resolution of the display changing if it's a laptop that's been plugged into a laptop dock and translated into monitors, or if you have multiple displays, this can happen. If the window ends up in an illegal space that no longer exists on the screen because the resolution's changed, it'll force it minimized. You can force maximize the window back again from the taskbar by highlighting it, right clicking, and then selecting maximize, and then it'll get it to display again. Sage stores those desktop settings by workstation and user. And so, like I said, if it had been minimized previously, it'll default to minimize the next time you load it. This is a really common issue that comes up where a particular user will suddenly find that customizations to a panel are missing. This is caused by a number of things. It can be caused by the user accidentally misclicking and selecting customize by mistake, which will create a blank custom panel just locally for them. It can also happen if their user panel is corrupted somehow. But in any case, they'll find themselves looking at a default version of that task panel when they were expecting the customized one. This is easily fixed. You can right click anywhere on the affected tasks panel window, somewhere that is a blank space on that panel. You choose customizer and then set panel, and then you check all the boxes, reset all grids, reset panel size and position. And if there's a blank bad customization locally, there'll be a checkbox below those two for delete customizations. Seems counterintuitive, but that will remove the blank custom panel. And then if you close out of the task and reopen it, you'll be able to see your custom panel again. This is a really common issue. Speaking of really common issues, Sage PDF converter errors. These present in a myriad of fashions, a number of different error codes, 40, 30, 41. This PDF document was not created successfully. Unable to process the lock file is a very common error message. These can look really alarming and they can look like different things, but they're all actually caused by the same problem, which is that the Sage 100 PDF converter virtual device is not configured properly on the workstation. And when you are trying to update a journal or a task that is printing to paperless office in addition to however else it's printing, it's encountering this error. This can often be caused just by the workstation not being set up correctly if it's a new workstation, but it can also be caused by Windows updates being applied and changing the default settings for your printers or resetting the ports that your printers are assigned to, as if the Sage PDF converter overlaps with another port that can cause problems. Fortunately, about, I would say 90% of the time, there's a very simple solution to this. By going to File and Run on the Sage 100 desktop, typing PL underscore advanced options underscore UI into that run window and clicking install converter on the window that appears when you do that. That will fix most of these issues. Now, a word of caution, if you're not a local administrator on the workstation, you'll be challenged with a administrator prompt, which will prevent you from doing this. So be aware of that. If you know that you don't have admin permissions on your workstation, make sure your IT is available to help you. This is also a common issue that has several common causes, deferred being the only printer option on tasks within Sage. Now, this might require a technician to resolve depending on the cause, but there are a few simple causes that can be fixed pretty easily by yourself. If you check your printers by going to Start, Control Panel, Devices and Printers, and you can also actually access this now in Windows 11 by going to Settings and Printers and Devices. Check for printers that are flagged as offline or marked with an exclamation mark in older systems. Uh, if you can troubleshoot issues with them or remove them, that can sometimes resolve this issue, as Sage does not like there to be invalid printers on the system or errored out jobs that have been spooled to printers that are having problems. That can frequently cause Sage to not see your printers properly. Another really common cause of this, check to see if there's no default printer specified um, for your workstation. Windows 10 and 11 have smart printer management, so they will assign your default printer based on the printer that you use most often. The problem is that Sage 100 was developed before that existed, and it doesn't know how to interpret what Windows is telling it, and that causes it to not be able to see any of your printers. So you'll want to choose a printer and manually override by setting it as default, and that's easy. You just right-click the printer and set it as the default. Or in the case of Windows 11, you'll click on the printer in settings, it'll open up the printer settings, and then there's a button to set as default at the top of the screen. That will very frequently fix this issue. There are times when to clear users out of the system or to fix an issue with a stuck process, you will try to terminate a process in the master console when Sage has become stuck or left open. Occasionally, you will not be able to terminate the process, even if you tell it to stop the process by clicking the X on the right there, it won't close it out. Or if you're on Sage 100 standard, you're not on the local machine, you won't be able to stop the process. However, if you open Task Manager, either on the server in the case of Advanced or Premium, or on the workstation in the case of Standard, you'll be able to compare the process ID in Master Console, underlined here, with the process ID in Task Manager on the Details tab, and then terminate that process to force it closed. It's important to exercise caution when doing this, as you are force terminating processes and it can cause data corruption. You also don't want to terminate the wrong process. Sage 100 processes are always labeled PBX Win32.exe. So keep an eye out for those. Thank you for listening to this session. And if you have any questions pertaining to subjects covered here, or if you have any other questions about technical issues, feel free to email. And thank you very much.